Today, UFC Abu Dhabi is here. Corey Sandhagen will make the attempt. The Sandman will make the attempt to put Umar Nurmagomedov to sleep. Also, what about Tony Ferguson? What about Tony Ferguson? How many losses will this be in a row if he takes an L here? 7? I'm not sure. And then, what about the Russian pirate, Shira? What about him? In Abu Dhabi. Are you ready? Are you? Are you? All of this and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? What's happening? Let's go. What's up, guys? We right back at it. We right back with it. It's your boy Matt, and we're here to go over UFC Abu Dhabi, which is actually going to take place for us here in America at 3 p.m. on a Saturday, which is always good because after the main event is done, you got time to get into some party favors and go out and have a good time. So, let's start with the very tippity top of the card, where we have Corey the Sandman Sandhagen stepping in the octagon with Umar Nurmagomedov. So, man, you would think that this would be an easy fight to call, but in reality, it's not. Okay, there's a certain vibe, a certain energy that's going on in the UFC now, where when we approach these fights in which you are positive, you are for sure this guy or this girl beats this guy or this girl. I know for a fact that this fighter will win this fight. And then something happens and the next thing you know, the other person is won, right? I mean, we kind of saw that with Bilal Muhammad. I mean, it wasn't so far-fetched that Leon would lose to him, but at the same time, it was like, I didn't see a ton of people picking Bilal. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, most people are going into this picking Umar Nurmagomedov to win this fight. Honestly, I can't blame you. Also, honestly, I really don't even want to make a pick in the main event because I'm really just not sure. The reason for this is I think Corey Sandhagen's a tricky fighter because older Corey Sandhagen, earlier in his career, until he took that loss to Aljamain Sterling, he really seemed to fight a lot of his fights completely based out of his own skill set, out of his own skills, his own instincts, what he felt in the moment of the fight, right? But I feel after taking that L to Aljamain, he really started leaning more into the game plan. I'm not saying he wasn't game planning before, but Corey Sandhagen strikes me as a fighter that plays mental chess. You know what I'm saying? When he steps into the octagon, it seems that he already has not just one, but probably 2 or 3 different plans based out of how his opponent is going to react to his offense or the loopholes, anything he sees, any chinks in the armor that he sees of his opponent. With that being said, there's not a lot of room. There's not a lot of weaknesses that we've seen with Nurmagomedov. But at the same time, I feel like Corey was already calling for this fight a long time ago. Like, he wanted to fight Umar a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? When nobody was calling out Umar, he was calling him out. And it's the same thing right now. Nobody, look. Nobody wakes up one morning and says, I'd like to fight Umar Nurmagomedov today. Look, I don't care who you are. Like, John Jones, not Anderson Silva, Izzy, whoever you want to pull out, Chuck Liddell. Nobody is waking up saying, I'd love to step in that octagon with Umar Nurmagomedov, right? So I feel like when you have a guy that keeps calling for him and keeps saying that he wants that fight with him, and he's kind of like the boogeyman of the division, I feel like that guy's got a solid game plan. I feel like he's got something up his sleeve. I feel like he's probably noticed tendencies or he's seen a weakness in which he thinks he can exploit. And just given the current temperature of the UFC, the current vibes of the UFC, and how every time we think we know for a fact this one fighter is going to win, and then they don't, this is a tough one to call. You also got to look at the fact that Corey Sandhagen he's fought a lot of the top contenders in this division. A lot of the top guys he's already fought, and he's beaten them. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, I'm actually going to go with the underdog pick. I know, this will probably be looped back and played, and they'll be like, haha, you was wrong, man. But, bro, something is telling me I think I'm going to go along with Corey Sandhagen to go out there and beat Umar Nurmagomedov. If I had to call it, I really don't know how he gets the job done. So I'm not going to go that far. I can't see him. I can see him cinching up submissions on Umar, but I don't see Umar tapping. So maybe he can make Umar go out, but I don't see him tapping. I think Umar's got a good chin on him. I could see Corey maybe chinning him, but I can't even really see that. So I'm going to be real with y'all. I don't really know how Corey Sandhagen wins, but I have a feeling that Corey Sandhagen is going to go out there and beat Umar Nurmagomedov in Abu Dhabi this Saturday. So that is my pick. I'm going with the underdog pick. You know, I'm betting it on DraftKings. Hopefully, pray for your boy. Hopefully it fares well for me. DraftKings, holla at me. You can still get in on the ground level, on the ground floor of matter of fact MMA before I skyrocket to the top. So go ahead and get in now. I need that sponsorship money. Holla at me. Anyway, I got Corey Sandhagen to go out there and get the win. Let's move on. In the co-main event, we have Shaira Magomedov stepping in there with Michelle Olazechek. This is another one where I'm just gonna be real. I haven't really been totally impressed with Shaira. I mean, I think he's definitely by far he's a good kickboxer. He has really good stand up. You know, he's really good at kicking and finding his range and spamming kicks, everything like that. You know, but I feel like his ground game is definitely lacking. I think that his grappling is lacking, and I don't think he's good at scrambling when he's put in those positions. But Mikel is just a weird, or Michelle, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his first name. He's just incredibly inconsistent. So for that reason, I'm going to go along with Shaira to go ahead and get the win here. But it wouldn't shock me if Olazechek took it. But I'm going along with Shaira Magomedov to get the win. Let's move on. We have Cheeto, my man Cheeto Marlon Vera, stepping in there with Davison Figueiredo, my guy Figgy Smalls. All right, so I'm actually going to go ahead and pick Figgy Smalls in this fight. I know that's not shocking. A lot of people are. For two reasons. For one, Figgy Smalls has been fighting the top contenders for a long time. Now, granted, it was at flyweight. It wasn't at bantamweight. But still, Figgy Smalls is used to the huge moments. He's used to being in front of these large crowds. He's used to all the eyes being on him and not being swayed. Now, I'm not saying that Cheeto would be swayed. Not at all. But I feel like for Figgy, if it's not a title fight, it's just kind of another day for him, which is very important for a lot of these fighters. For it to just feel like it's another day, no pressure, no stress. Let me go in here and do my job and make it home. And I really feel like Figgy has a point to prove. He really wants to go out there. He really wants to get that at least a bantamweight title shot. But more importantly, he wants a bantamweight championship. With that being said, I'm not sure where Cheeto is at in his career, because he's had a couple of times where he made it to one title shot, another time where he made it to the top of the division. And he took a major L and he didn't get a title shot. Then he kind of crept his way back up, more kind of home cooking by Sean O'Malley because he wanted to fight Cheeto, but he makes it back to a title shot and then he's taken out. And Cheeto's a very calm, cool, collected guy, so I haven't seen him react like with a fire, like he has that fire to go back in the octagon and prove all the doubters wrong. He just seems to be so chill and laid back. I'm not saying that's against him, but a lot of the times when you see a fighter take a horrible L like he did against Sean O'Malley, you want to see that fire that they want to go back in there and prove everybody wrong. Also, the second thing that's making me lean toward Figgy is after a beating like he took against Sean O'Malley, I really don't know what he might have left. Because we saw with Tony Ferguson after he took that horrible beating, that bashing by Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson was never the same again, as we will see on this card. So, I'm not really sure where Cheeto's at right now. I'm not sure if he was able to. I mean, he can take a shot, but I'm not sure if he was completely able to bounce back from all that damage. Because eventually, after so many shots, the body can't take it anymore. The chin goes. The chin is gone. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and head home, guys. I'll see y'all later. If you're expecting to see your chin at home, your chin left. It ain't home. Oh, man. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm going to go along with Figgy Smalls, Davison Figueiredo to go out there and get the win. Next, we have Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. First off, both of these dudes are washed. All right. I was a huge Tony Ferguson fan in the past, but I really wish Tony would have just hung it up. Because now he's kind of becoming the laughing stock of both divisions. He fights at welterweight and he fights at lightweight. And I mean, I'm just tired of seeing this. This bout is going to be at welterweight. Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa is also washed. Michael Chiesa has been washed for a while. I think Michael Chiesa keeps getting these opportunities because he works the booth or he works on the desk for the UFC. Nevertheless, they put these two old wash heads inside of the octagon, and honestly, there's just, I mean, maybe he does something sneaky and tricky to pull it out, but you got to go along with Michael Chiesa to get the win here. So that's what I'm going along with. Next, we have Mackenzie Dern versus Lupi Godinez. I'm going to go along with Lupi Godinez, although I believe I saw footage that Mackenzie Dern might be working with Jason Perillo again. If so, that does change the dynamic because I think that was her best coach and he had her in the best condition entering into the cage. But I'm going to go along with Lupi Godinez. Even though both women are coming off of losses, I think Lupi Godinez is by far the more well-rounded and the better fighter. So I'm going along with her to get the win. Next, we have Joel Alvarez stepping in there with Elvis Brenner. This fight is going to be a banger. This fight is going to be a banger and somebody's going to get stretchered out. In my opinion, I think Joel Alvarez takes it. But don't sleep on Elvis. He doesn't have a lot of wins in the UFC, but this dude comes out there to bang. He comes out there to take your lunch money. You know what I'm saying? It's your job to stop him. You know what I'm talking about? But I'm going along with Joel Alvarez to go out there and get the win. Next, we have Azamat Mirzakhanivov. Mirzakhanivov. We got LOAM stepping in the octagon with Alonzo Menifield, who is also initials AM. Look, man, I've been making it a career. I've only lost once or twice doing this, but I've been making it a career in fading Alonzo Menifield in fights on DraftKings. So I'm going to fade him again. I'm going along with Azamat to get the win. I apologize for mispronouncing your name, sir, but I live in Kentucky. What do you want from me? Anyway, let's move on. We have Muhammad Yahya stepping in there with Kay Fernandez. I'm going along with I'm going along with Kay Fernandez to get the win. I think he gets the job done against Yahya. Let's move on. Next, we have Shamil Gaziev stepping in there with hometown boy, my guy, Dontel Mays out of Louisville, Kentucky. I'm not fading Dontel Mays, so I'm going along with Dontel Mays to get the win. I think Gaziev, by far, he really has good stand-up, really good striking, but I think Dontel Mays, he's a very, very tricky guy because a lot of the times he by his slow methodical pace, he's able to take a lot of guys out of their element. I don't really know why that happens with a lot of his fights, but if a guy's really good at wrestling, Dante has a way of just very slowly, methodically taking these guys out of their game plan, and they can't really implement exactly what they're trying to do. So I'm going to go along. I'm sorry, I said Dante. His name is Dontel. I'm going along with Dontel Mays to get the win. Louisville, Kentucky's own. I should say. Let's move on. We have Garam Kutiladze stepping in there against Jordan Vincic. I'm gonna go along with Garam. He's had a little bit of time out of the octagon, but he's back. And, he's definitely a promising fighter, so I'm going along with Garam to get the win. Next, we have Victoria Dudakova stepping in there against Sam Hughes. I've also made a career on DraftKings out of fading Sam Hughes, and we're not stopping now. So I'm going along with Victoria Dudakova to get the win. Then we have Guy Herbert going in there against Rolando Bedoya. Man, I thought Bedoya looked really good in his fight against Chaos Williams, but his return fight after that, I did not like the way that he looked. And I think Herbert is a guy a lot of people sleep on. He's never going to be a contender or anything like that. But with a couple more wins, and this is sad to say that this would be something anybody's shooting for, with a couple more wins, he could graduate to gatekeeper. You know what I'm talking about? So I'm going to go along with Jai Herbert to get the win. And then finally, we have Cedricus Dumas stepping in there with Dennis Tululin. I'm going to go along with Cedricus to get the win. So that is UFC Abu Dhabi. It goes down this Saturday as we're going to check out Corey the Sandman Sandhagen and see if he can put Umar Nurmagomedov to sleep. Or will Umar go out there and do a little reverse NyQuil, a little reverse get some Z's on Corey Sandhagen. So we will find out. Please let me know what your picks are. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. And I do want to thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I check you next time. Peace.